Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I've got another new Pokemon V to show you. Yeah, that's right, we had a lot of Pokemon Vs dropped in very quick succession, so seems rather rude I wouldn't share them all with you. And today, it's time for Houndoom to get a Pokemon V. First of all, adore the artwork on this card. Might be my favourite Houndoom artwork I've seen. But is the card actually worth worrying about? Well, we start off with 210 HP, which is fine for a Pokemon V. Not too high, not too low. Not just right, it's like Goldenlock and the Free Bears. We want as high as possible. Retreat cost of 1 means you can use U-turn board for free retreat, which is rather lovely. And the weakness to water, I don't know. I keep expecting Frostmoth decks to start being really good, and then you'd be like, oh no, man, I'm weak to all those Frostmoth decks. But actually, it's not happening, so, But you are a fire Pokemon. Being a fire Pokemon is awesome. That means you are hitting weakness on Zacian V, the very best attacker we've got at the moment, though maybe not by the time this comes out. We'll have to wait and see. It means you've got Welder to accelerate energy while drawing cards. Attach to energy, draw 3 cards. That sounds pretty good to me. It means that you've got stuff like Giant Half to get your energy out of the deck and Fire Crystal to get your energy out of the discard pile. It is a great time to be a fire Pokemon. And it's not just metal, you're also hitting weakness on all of those pesky grass Pokemon. Come at me, Rillaboom. Come at me. But what does it actually do? Well, our translation does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, long been one of our favourites over here at PTCGRadio. We are big fans of Antoine Boulet. And essentially, what we see here is 1 fire energy, and it does 20 damage plus burn. It's fine. It's not particularly good. It's fine. I mean, one of the saving graces of this card, right, is the fact that we're talking single energy basic Pokemon. So in terms of getting it as something to tech in, to have a little bit of a play with, to muck about with, basically as an early game option, it's good. It's not phenomenal, it's fine. But you see, of course, with Welder, single energy isn't really early game. We'll get to the second attack for this in a moment. But the fact that it's for free energy means you can legitimately just use that attack on turn 1 instead. And the thing is, we are actually losing all of our burn tricks. Well, a Volcano Park, so your opponent cannot flip heads out of burn, is being rotated. And in Fernape, we've actually got the fighting and the fire version that turn 2 damage counters for burn into 6 damage counters for burn. They are both rotating. One was in Forbidden Light, one was in Ultra Prism. Either way, they're both rotating. And what we're left with is just burn. And it is better than the rules used to be. You take 2 damage counters, then you flip. If heads, you're not burned. If tails, you are. And it can build up over the course of several turns. It absolutely can. And it can be really annoying for your opponent. But then again, if you really want to take advantage of burn nowadays, why not just play Burning Scarf? It's a Pokemon tool that you attach to your Pokemon, and if it gets damaged by your opponent's attack, then they get burned. And then you get all the fun of burn without having to waste an attack burning your opponent. I mean, I've talked about Cinderace V a few times lately. And you see, that can do the Welder thing. That can do the whole play a Welder to attach 2 energy, and then attach 1 from your hand, and then you're hitting 140 turn 1, no burn, but you can use Burning Scarf. But then as soon as you VMAX for the same energy cost, you're doing 170 plus burn. And when you're talking 170 plus burn, I'm like, yes, that's quite nice. When you're talking 20 plus burn, I just go, I'd like a little bit more. Not a bad attack, fine as an early game option, but not much more than that. But then we get to the bigger attack. Free energy, 2 fire, 1 colorless, 100 damage. If you have any fire benched Pokemon with damage counters on them, this attack does 100 more damage. Oh, that's not bad. Free energy, 200 damage is not that bad. Now, the good news is here, you don't even need the extra damage to get a Zacian V. You need a Vitality Band. Vitality Band plus the 100 damage you would generally be doing, 110 doubled with weakness, 220 in your face, Zacian V. So that's quite nice. But 200 damage for free energy is good. If you can get damage on your bench Pokemon, you can literally just go, Welder, energy, go. Lovely. 200 damage. Now, it's really important that they say fire bench Pokemon with damage counters on, because if it was just any bench Pokemon with damage counters on, you know we're all just going Spiritomb here. You tech in a single Spiritomb from Unbroken Bonds, use its ability to do 10 damage to itself, then you do have a damaged Pokemon on the bench, and you're good to go. And you're doing 200 damage. That would be silly. So it is just fire Pokemon. Now, the good news is here, we've got Rainbow Energy. The bad news is, Rainbow Energy hasn't actually been printed since Celestial Storm came out. Which means when we hit the rotation, which is going to be about the same time this is released, we're going to be in that awkward situation where we don't actually have Rainbow Energy anymore. Oh, that's not good, ladies and gentlemen. That's not good at all. So how do you damage your own Pokemon? Honestly, we've had a bunch of good ways in the past, and all of those ways have gone away. Rainbow Energy, excellent option, gone. Team Magma's Secret Base, excellent option, gone. Incidentally, in Expanded, this is really good. Because in Expanded, you can use Team Magma's Secret Base. So what you do is you play that as your stadium, and you just go Houndoom, Energy, Welder for 2, bench any fire Pokemon when you've already got Team Magma's Secret Base down, and then you can actually legitimately be hitting 200 on turn 1. In Expanded, absolutely love it. But how are we putting the damage counter on here? On your bench fire Pokemon? And the answer is it's not particularly easy. There are ways we can do it, but you're talking about attacks that damage all of your benched Pokemon. Which isn't really what we're looking for here. Sure, you can use an attack that will damage your bench, yay, etc. But is that really helping you here? I'm not entirely sure it is. I mean, you've got the Stunned Fist from Unbroken Bonds, 1 colorless energy, 30 damage, plus 10 to one of your bench Pokemon. And it is single colorless energy on a basic Pokemon. It's a very easy attack to actually use, but it's using this attack, then using Houndoom next turn. What I want to do with this, my goal with this, is very simply to go, right, okay, let's go second, and turn 1, Welder, Energy, damage fire Pokemon on the bench, go. And the problem is, I've been going over this conundrum because of Stunfisk. And I don't know if I've got the answer. Because, of course, Stunfisk would just use Spiritomb. And they would use Rainbow Energy. And we had a very similar thing with Tauros a little while ago. This is the Tauros from Team Up, 2 colorless energy. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on all of your Tauros and Tauros GX. So what we would do then is actually use Tauros GX along with Shrine of Punishment that would put 1 damage counter on each of your Tauros GX between turns, and this actually worked because it was 10 more for each damage counter. You didn't just need 1 damage Pokemon, you got essentially bonuses for each damage counter. It's actually quite difficult at the moment to just damage one of your own Pokemon. But that's the speed version, and to be clear, in Expanded, the speed version works beautifully. In Standard, it's still great. After 1 or 2 games, you'll still be fine. You'll still have damage on there. Either you'll be able to set up damage to yourself, or your opponent will attack someone, etc., etc. You will have it there. The thing is, that's not turn 1. Love it as a speed Pokemon. That only really works properly in Expanded. So you end up basically going for a nice mid-game attacker. And you know what? As a nice mid-game attacker, I'm all in favour. it's still free energy 200 damage. That is more raw damage than you see from Cinderace V. That is more raw damage than you see from Cinderace V Max. I mean, that's up there with Tapu Koko V. I know that's a lightning Pokemon, but same kind of deal. And actually, Tapu Koko V is a pretty good attacker. But also, Tapu Koko V cannot use that attack next turn, Houndoom can. I really like this attack, but because it's not that easy to damage your own Pokemon, it goes from a potential speed deck to a really good tech in a fire deck, along with your Ninetales V, your Victini V, etc. I mean, we're playing basically Firebox at the moment. This is just another good one in there. But let's be clear, as long as you give it kind of 5 minutes into the game, the extra damage will be activated, at which point you're basically just hitting 200 for free energy. Yes. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. I really like it. I do think this is going to see a bunch of play. I do think it's going to be teched into a bunch of fire decks. I think it's really good. There we go. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.